Remember, the policeman is your friend. If you're looking for other friends, you know who else could be your friend? The bounty hunter in a steel face mask. This is Man Killer 8. It is an evasion tie-in again. But this is also a little crossover with the Flask series. In fact, the covers are like mirror images with mainly only the title character changed. One of the things to say straight off the bat is that this issue of Man Killer is much better than the Flask one. This is written by John Ostrander, and the book sort of spun out of Suicide Squad. Man Killer, he was with the Suicide Squad on and off, and then he got his own series. And our plot here, it hinges on the events happening over in the Flask. I reviewed that issue last week. For those who missed it, the Willie West version of the Flask, he went to Cuba to fight off alien invaders. Now we have his mom, Willie West's mom. She is worried about her son, so she has hired Man Killer. She is paying Man Killer to go to Cuba and protect her son from danger and stuff like that. It is a bit dopey of a plot point, but this is a decent read. Really enjoyed it. We did see Man Killer briefly in the Flask issue. I didn't point it out, but there was a panel or two where we saw a figure in the shadows, or someone was helping out. It is a low-key crossover between the two books, and I kind of like it for that. You didn't have to read both, but if you do, you feel like with this issue, you're seeing loads of bits that happened behind the scenes of the Flask story. So Man Killer, he gets to Cuba eventually, and I will not go over who Man Killer is or all the different Man Killers again. This version is the main one. This is the main Man Killer. But to avoid debate, I will also stipulate he is not the most popular one. So in this, we see how Man Killer was involved in stuff that happened in the Flask issue, but Fat Albert is there, so I'll skip over these pages. While the Flask is teaming up with Fidel Castro, Man Killer is in the background, fighting aliens who were going to attack the Flask. And on today's edition of Did Michael Bryan Benson fuck up this character and or their continuity? We are looking at Man Killer, this version of the character, the Man Killer introduced in the 70s by Jack Quimby. Did Michael Bryan Benson fuck up this character and or his continuity? The answer is yes. Yes, he did. Even in Man Killer's book, we still get to see Willie West getting some action. Classic Orny Willie West. Here's the thing, this is really good. And our Man Killer isn't a great character, but this is a very well done issue. It makes the most of the Man Killer character, and it is exciting and much better than the Flask issue it's paired with. I think the problem with Man Killer, this version of Man Killer, is that he will always be looked at with some disdain for simply not being the more popular version who has remained dead since the 70s. A series starring this version of the character is always going to be an uphill struggle for DC, because most people want the other Man Killer resurrected. I will give some props to DC. They have largely kept the guy dead, and that was the wish of his creators, Barney Goodson and Simon Waltonson. They did all the stories with that version of Man Killer, and then at the end killed them off, and they wanted them to stay dead. DC have mostly stuck to that promise. I say mostly because, of course, Kurt Busey tried to disrespectfully weasel his way around that to have the character return and prop up his shit book. But that is Kurt Busey. Now we have got a big shape-shifty woman alien in a bathing suit. I like that. And I've not really talked about it much, but there is some neat stuff going on with Man Killer and his mythology, him being linked to the Man Killer robots, and how his actions during this invasion are complicating things diplomatically because he is unwillingly a representative of the Man Killers. It ties into and links back to the crossover from the year previous, which was Millennium. It was all about the Man Killers and Green Lanterns stuff. Have you guys ever seen this advert before? I didn't think I have shown it on this channel yet, but I like it. In this issue of Man Killer, we actually get more stuff with Willie West's dad than we did in the Flask issue. And this is important to the overall Evasion crossover, because Willie West's dad, he has somewhat of a big moment in Evasion, and we get a lot of the setup for that in here. Interestingly, Willie West's dad, he was also an agent of the Man Killers in Millennium. I didn't think the most is done with that here. It's definitely acknowledged and talked about, but I think these two characters could have more of a larger discussion or debate or conflict with regards to their ties to the Man Killers. Still, it is a really good issue. You can usually depend on John Ostrich to not let you down. If you read them Flask issues and felt a bit underwhelmed, I would point you to this. This feels like it makes the Flask issue better. I didn't think the Flask issue is required to understand this either. I think I'll recommend this one. 7 thumbs up.